Hello, it's Molly Reamer from Bridget's Grove, and I'm getting ready to make my next prayer book for 30 Days of Goddess, 30 Days of Devotion that I'm offering again. And this is the new format of prayer book, and I am making one that is a half-page version, which is how the original PDF is laid out to print. And so when you are printing it, you do need to make sure that your paper, the settings on your printer are set to print in landscape and not portrait, so that it will print out. Basically, the file is designed so that you print it double-sided, and that way you end up with 4 book pages per single sheet of paper. So I call it a half-size book because it ends up being the size of a half sheet of paper, each side does, but there's 4 pages technically per sheet. And this one I am making a cover using a card that my son drew me for Mother's Day, and I've punched my hole, or I've bored my holes already. But so that's how this little booklet is supposed to be, double-sided. And if you're printing in landscape, sometimes your printer will have a setting that says side flip or top flip, and so you will probably, or flip on short edge or flip on long edge. So make sure to pay attention to that, and if you're wanting to flip it on the short edge, if it asks for that, or side flip if it asks for that. And the other thing I wanted to note as far as size goes, because I make these in a lot of different sizes, and my current one that I'm using, it's a little messy. I've got stuff in it that I'm working on. My current one is smaller and fits into a more traditional greeting card sized card as the cover. And then the other one, another one that I have going on right now, is even smaller than that. This is more like a quarter page. This would be a quarter page size instead. And but one of the things I wanted to note is, even though the page file is this full page pages, half-size result, you can usually, in your printer, you can usually choose to scale the pages smaller. So if you want it a little bit smaller, if you have a card that you want to use for the cover, or you don't want, like this, and the way this one ends up, where the prompts are actually really pretty large font this way. And so if you want to make it smaller, a lot of printers have a setting where you can choose scale, and then you just put the percentage in that you want to scale it to. So I think the one that I showed you a minute ago is like a 75% scale. So it's just scaled down like 75%. So you can scale it down 50%, you can scale it down 80%, and just make it a little smaller so there's more room. And then you can trim the edges. It'll still print out on full sheets of paper, but then you just cut it to size. And I do have a paper cutter that I use to cut mine to keep the edges a little smoother, but you can cut it with regular scissors too. So that was just a little side note about that type of printing. And I'm going to sew it the same way I do all my little books. I've already bored my holes, but I do use this file down screwdriver to punch the holes in, and do 3 holes, and then you go down through the middle, leave a little tail, and then come around from the back through the top hole. Oops. Not that graceful here today. Okay. And then take it all the way down to the bottom hole. Push it through. And then come back up through the middle hole. And make sure your string comes out on the opposite side of the center hole there. And then you're going to snip off the end tie it in a knot. You can trim the ends off later. You can use, this is linen bookbinding thread, but you can even use dental floss to sew it if you want to. It does not have to be special thread. You can use ribbon, you can use embroidery thread. There's any number of things that you can use. And then I prefer, so there we go. And then I prefer to reinforce, after it's sewn, I prefer to reinforce the inside cover with another piece of paper. And so for this one, I'm most likely going to use, I'm going to cover up his son. I'm going to probably use a piece of cardstock first, and then I'm going to use this nice little carved block print from Tree Newbie on Instagram for my inside cover. And then the back side, I'm going to use a card from my other son, just for fun. So this one's going to be a little bit, you know, not necessarily with Goddess art as the cover, but then I like to get other things prepared and ready to use, so I have little bits of things ready from issues of the Phoenix Soul magazine. I have stickers from our own Etsy shop, bridgesgrove.etsy.com. I have printed stickers of my own waiting to be cut out, and other things ready to use for that when I'm ready. And I like to have kind of a buffet of possibilities laid out for me so that I can create with, so that it becomes something almost like a living representation of where I am right now and what holds meaning to me. So thanks for joining us. Bye bye.